Shabbat Shalom, I realized I have to juggle, I'm kept pretty busy to juggle, military service as a sergeant major. And of course, there's family. I have 3 children, wonderful wife. And then there's all those people in need in the north of Israel and the Galilee. And you'd think, as I'm in northern Gaza, you say there's missions in Syria, right? There's missions in Lebanon. There's missions in northern Gaza. And many people say, hey, didn't you complete sweeping through northern Gaza? And I say, well, yes, we swept through the whole thing, but there's a difference between sweeping through and really relentlessly scouring every inch to find the hostages. And when we found this tunnel, 7.5 kilometer tunnel, our guys found it along with other units, and we said, man, our hearts were filled with joy and hope that we would find these hostages. They're our brothers, our sisters, our tribesmen and women, our sons, our daughters. They're in the tunnels, and we can't give up on them, and we mustn't. And so when we found this, sure, there was all kinds of terrorist infrastructure, weapons, terrorists themselves, Hamas, were in there, but no hostages. And that our hearts sunk, but we don't give up hope. We continue to stay strong in the mission at hand, and that tunnel is going bye-byes. It is going to be destroyed, and you see what I talked about yesterday with Yemen, Ansar Allah, this Houthi group that that attacked an elementary school, yesterday. Well, they say we achieved our objectives. The Yemen state, news agency called Saba. Is that their objectives, really, to destroy an elementary school in Israel? Not a good objective, I'd say. Disrupt the shipping lanes of the West. I'd say that's not a good objective. But Israel struck back, gave U.S. notice, United States notice that we're going to strike back to disable all 3 of the Houthi ports and also the Hezyaz power station. Now, did we disable it? I don't know, because there's some fires there, and there was lots of strikes to tell them, no, enough's enough, and enough is enough. And everyone's going to learn that. I liked how our Prime Minister said, everyone that attacks us will have to learn that that's not allowed. And there's all kinds of Hezbollah positions that we're removing as well, that are still filled with their infrastructure, with their rocket launchers, so we're removing those. There's some daring operations by the 300th Baram Regional Brigade, and troops are uncovering all these anti-tank missiles, artillery, explosive devices, rocket launchers, and all of this stuff was intended to hurt Israel, to destroy Israel. And you know what you see in Syria is just phenomenal. Our guys are there right now in Syria, and they're right there on the edge with where the rebels are. And I just find it interesting when I look at the name. Can I tell you about the name? The rebels have a name, okay? HTS, which is Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. What does that mean? It's the Organization for the Liberation of the Levant. But what is Al-Sham, the Levant? What is the Levant? It's Israel, it's Syria, it's Iraq. It's the same word that ISIS had. ISIS was or Obama used to call it ISIL all the time. ISIL. What is ISIL? The Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. Again, that's right here. That's us. And so I look at that and I'm saying, what in the world is this group planning to do? It's in their name. They used to be Jabhat al-Nusra, which is affiliated with Al-Qaeda. We know how Al-Qaeda is. And so again, Hayat means organization. Tahrir, liberation. Al-Sham is the Levant. It's partly Israel and Syria. And so I'm just saying, hey, we got to keep our eyes on this, on what Iran wants to do now. Because suddenly Turkey's inviting the Hamas in. Turkey is like, hey, we want to help. We will stand and we will fight Israel. And they're going to join and fight inside Syria. And so now I hear they want to do a choke on Israel's economy by trying to, down in the Red Sea there, to try to get Sudan to also be used like how the Houthis were being used to disrupt all kinds of shipping to Israel and use their military base in their port in Sudan. And they think that could be a way to choke Israel's economy. And but what I'll say with this, as the hostage deal looks like it's happening, didn't BBC talk about a 6-week ceasefire that's probably going to happen now, where Hamas would free 30 of the remaining 96 hostages. So they're going to free 30. We have to, of course, release all kinds of these terrorist murderers from our prisons. But I look at it and I say, you know what? Zechariah 12 gives me hope here, because on that day, God says he will protect the inhabitants of Jerusalem. That's Zechariah 12, verse 8. Anyone among them who is feeble will be like David in that day, and the house of David will be like God himself. The angel of the Lord will go before them, and on that day I will set out to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. So here's an advice to these nations. Don't come against Israel. Stand with Israel. Stand with the blessing. And Shabbat Shalom.